If you've ever searched for how to solo all over the neck, then no doubt you've come across the 5-position cage system. But as someone into classic rock and blues, it's really hard for me to think that any of my favourite players are really thinking about caged as they play. So in this video, I'm going to show you what the pros are really doing to get around the neck. Take a listen to this solo, see how freely I can move, and then I'm going to show you the patterns you really need to master the fretboard. The key to moving fluidly around the neck like this is a combination of vertical and diagonal patterns. You see, not all cage positions are equal. Some are more useful than others because of how the notes fall under the fingers. And just like you're used to building bar chords from the E minor and A minor shapes, the E minor and A minor pentatonic shapes are the most important for soloing as well. So we'll take these as our pillars and then use diagonal patterns to connect between them. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to join up the whole neck without missing a single note. So let's start with the E minor shape, and this is the classic 1st position pentatonic that fits directly around that E minor shape bar chord. So we're in the key of A minor here, starting at the 5th fret, and it's going to look like this. Now, while most of you will know this already, it's worth reminding ourselves why this is such an important shape. Firstly, it gives you all these notes at the same fret, which is really useful for playing 2 strings at once, like with these hammer-on double stops. Then secondly, on the top 2 strings we get this perfect 4th, which is the backbone of so many blues style licks. And then thirdly, the big bends fall on our strongest 3rd finger here, like this big bend up to the root note on the B string and what I call the universal pentatonic bend here on the G string. So listen again to the first part of the solo and see how I put these concepts into action. Now let's look at our first diagonal pattern, which will allow us to transition up the neck. Here we'll call it the 2+3 diagonal, but you might also hear it called the pentatonic frying pan or simply the 5-note pentatonic, because this one little pattern contains all 5 notes and then replicates as we go up the neck. So let's start 1 note below the root, here at the 3rd fret, this G note on the low E, and then up 2 frets to the root of A. So that's our first group of 2 notes. Then over to the A string for a group of 3, frets 3, 5, and then slide up to 7. So we've got G, A, C, D, E. You'll find this little sliding technique here is essential to allow you to shift positions. So that's our basic pattern, 2 notes plus 3 notes. Then we can replicate this exact same pattern an octave higher on the D and G strings. So far we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and now you see with this slide we're perfectly positioned to start again at the 5th fret of the D string with 1, 2, and then up to the G string, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now these are exactly the same notes, an octave higher, so we've got G, A, C, D, E, and then again, G, A, C, D, E. Then once we get to here, 9th fret on the G string, we can go up an octave again. We need to slip over to the 8th fret just because of the way the B string is tuned. That's where we find our next G, and we get G, A, so 1, 2, and then up to the high E, 1, 2, 3, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E. So all together, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E. Lower octave, middle octave, higher octave. Now this gets us all the way up to the 12th fret, where we'll find another pattern in a moment. But first, just take note of how this diagonal approach cuts right across our original E minor pentatonic shape. See, we're going to go right over the top of that, which means it works perfectly in tandem with it whilst helping us move up and down the neck. Now, one of the great things about this 2+3 shape is we always get the big universal bend on our strongest third finger, and then the microtonal blues bend on our first finger. And because it's a shape that repeats, we can use it to play the same licks in different octaves. Back to the solo and see how I come down through the diagonal with variations on essentially the same lick and then run right up through it to hit these higher registers of the neck. So now we've seen how the diagonal approach takes us up to the 12th fret. Here we can find another pentatonic position, the A minor shape. So just as we find our A minor bar chord here, we can build a pentatonic scale here that looks like this. If you look at classic solos, you'll find this shape is so common, especially on these higher strings. Whilst it's not quite as easy going as the E minor shape because the lowest note isn't the root, and we don't get all those notes at the same fret, there are some incredibly useful things about this A minor shape. Firstly, we can make a full bend at the highest note here, 15th fret on the high E, which will take us up to our root note of A. Now this is hugely useful, particularly for starting and ending licks. Then we also get the universal pentatonic bend here at the 15th fret on the B string. Try playing this in tandem with the 15th on the high E. Find some bluesy in-between notes which make a really cool sound. Then we have this little situation on the G and B strings where we can easily line up with one finger per fret across these notes. So I've got those two notes on the B string, but then this note here on the G string fits nicely in between, which is really comfortable for this type of lick. And then of course the classic, that kind of lick where again, we've got it nicely lined up with one finger per fret. To the solo again and see how I put this A minor position to work. So now we can get from the E minor position through the diagonal up to the A minor position, but what about going higher again? Well, there's another diagonal we can use, the 3+2. So with our previous diagonal, we started with the 2, which was G and A, followed by the 3, C, D and E. Now what we're going to do is flip this on its head, so the 3 comes first, followed by the 2. So these are going to be our first 3 notes, C, D and E, but we're not going to play them here, we're going to move them down to the low E string, so we need to come to the 8th fret where the C is. So we've got C, D, and then slide up to E, so that's our 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the 2 is going to be on the A string, 10th fret and 12th fret, G and A. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or C, D, E, G, A. Now from here, 12th fret on the A string, we're perfectly positioned to start again with a C at the 10th fret on the D string with 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, C, D, E, G, A. And then again onto the B string, we just need to hop up 1 fret here because of the way it's tuned with C, D, E, G, A. So all together, so that's the 3+2 diagonal right across the neck, and look, once again it goes right over the top of our A minor pentatonic shape and gives us a way in and out of that position. Now this diagonal gets us right up here to the 17th fret where we find again our E minor pentatonic shape that we started with. So this completes the circle back to the E minor position and allows us to solo right up at this end of the guitar. To round out the solo, see how I ascend up through this 3+2 diagonal and then close out with some classic licks in the E minor position. I hope that was useful. There's a download with all the patterns and the full solo tabbed out on my Patreon if you're interested. But for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.